327 Star Corps. The 327th Star Corps was a yellow-marked clone unit that fought under Commander Bly, CC 5052, and Jedi General Aayla Secura. These clones were experts in both ground and space battles, and they served on tons of front lines across the galaxy during the Clone Wars. One of their most famous missions was on Felucia, a dense jungle planet filled with weird, alien plant life and giant fungus. The 327th was deployed there with Aayla leading the charge. They were tough, well-trained, and super loyal, at least until Order 66 kicked in. The moment that order was given, Bly and his troopers didn't even flinch. While walking with Aayla, they paused for just a second, then turned and gunned her down without warning. It was one of the most brutal Order 66 scenes we saw in Revenge of the Sith. She didn't even get to ignite her lightsaber. The 327th's story after the Clone Wars isn't super detailed in canon, but like other units, they were probably pulled into the Empire and replaced over time with standard stormtroopers. Bly was one of the few commanders shown wearing Phase I-style gear modified for extra protection, which made him stand out. Overall, the 327th Star Corps was a battle-hardened, high-performing unit. They followed orders without hesitation, even if it meant taking out the Jedi they'd fought beside for years. 7th Sky Corps. The 7th Sky Corps was a massive airborne-focused unit in the Grand Army of the Republic, led by General Obi-Wan Kenobi and Commander Cody. That's right, Cody wasn't just in charge of the 212th Attack Battalion. He also commanded the entire 7th Sky Corps, which included the 212th as one of its main divisions. This corps was all about high-altitude insertions, jetpack assaults, and aggressive vertical warfare. Think cliffside battles, aerial drops, and scaling fortress walls. The 7th Sky Corps fought on planets like Umbera, Salakami, and of course, Utapau, where Obi-Wan took down General Grievous. The unit's iconic orange armor came from the 212th, which represented the Corps' elite front lines. While not every trooper in the 7th had that specific color scheme, the whole Corps had a reputation for fearless tactics and fast deployment, usually backed by gunships and walkers. Order 66 hit the 7th just like the rest of the Republic's forces. Commander Cody, who had served loyally under Kenobi through countless battles, didn't hesitate to execute the order. The moment Sidious gave the command, Cody ordered Obi-Wan's death on Utapau without even blinking. Brutal. After the Republic became the Empire, units like the 7th Sky Corps were absorbed into the new military machine, and clone officers like Cody were replaced or reassigned. The 7th Sky Corps was one of the Republic's most mobile and battle-hardened forces, built to strike from above and keep moving. Their legacy is marked by victories across the galaxy, and the betrayal that came at the very end. 501st Legion. The 501st Legion is probably the most famous clone unit in Star Wars. Nicknamed Vader's Fist, this elite group fought in some of the biggest battles during the Clone Wars, including Umbera, Felucia, and the Siege of Mandalore. The 501st was led by Captain Rex, CT 7567, under General Anakin Skywalker, and later Ahsoka Tano during Mandalore. What made the 501st special was their loyalty, skill, and battle record. These clones were often sent on the toughest missions. When Order 66 was activated, the 501st turned on the Jedi like all other clones. Some of them, wearing blue-striped armor, stormed the Jedi Temple under Darth Vader's command. Yeah, Anakin literally led them to wipe out his own order. Rex, though, removed his inhibitor chip and escaped the control. He even helped Ahsoka fake both their deaths after their Venator-class Star Destroyer crashed during the escape from Mandalore. That crash ended the Clone Wars for the 501st, but their story didn't stop there. Under the Empire, the 501st became a feared stormtrooper unit, still tied to Darth Vader. But by that point, the original clones were being phased out and replaced by regular conscripts. So the unit's identity changed, but the name Vader's Fist stuck around as a symbol of fear and power. From loyal Republic soldiers to Jedi Temple attackers to Imperial enforcers, the 501st saw it all, and their legacy in the galaxy is massive. 41st Elite Corps. The 41st Elite Corps was a green-armored clone unit known for jungle warfare, diplomacy support, and adaptability. They served under Commander Gree, CC 1004, and Jedi General Luminara Unduli, and later often worked alongside Yoda on key missions. This unit was unique because it wasn't just about brute force. The 41st was trained to fight in rough environments like forests and swamps, which made them ideal for campaigns on planets like Kashyyyk. They even wore specialized camo armor for blending into their surroundings. One of their most well-known operations was the Battle of Kashyyyk at the end of the Clone Wars. Gree and his men were working with the Wookiees to defend the planet from a separatist invasion. But when Order 66 came in, everything changed in a second. As Yoda walked through the jungle, Gree received the order, and without a second thought, he tried to kill the Grand Master. But Yoda sensed it coming. In one of the quickest reactions in Star Wars, he decapitated Gree and another trooper before they could even fire. That moment showed just how loyal clones were to their programming, and how fast even trusted commanders could turn. Gree had served directly under Yoda, and it still didn't matter once that chip kicked in. The 41st Elite Corps had a serious track record, helping in key battles across the galaxy. They were elite not just by name, but by skill. But like so many others, their story ended with betrayal the second Order 66 hit. 91st Reconnaissance Corps. The 91st Reconnaissance Corps was a Republic clone unit trained for advanced scouting, recon missions, and fast strike tactics. They wore dark red markings and were led by Commander Neo, CC 8826, and Jedi General Stas Ali. These troopers weren't about flashy battles. They were about precision and speed. This corps showed up on multiple fronts during the Clone Wars, handling recon and intel gathering in dangerous zones. They were often deployed ahead of larger forces to scout enemy territory, so they had to move fast and survive under pressure. Commander Neo stood out with his unique visor and biker scout-style helmet. He didn't talk much, and unlike clones like Rex or Cody, Neo kept his distance emotionally. The 91st didn't build super close bonds with their Jedi leaders. They were all about following orders and staying sharp. During Order 66, Neo and another trooper were escorting Stas Ali on speeder bikes across Salakami. When the order came in, Neo didn't even flinch. He pulled back and blasted her speeder from behind, sending her crashing in flames. Clean, silent, and ruthless, exactly how the 91st operated. After the war, there's not much on the 91ST's fate, but like most units, they were absorbed into the Imperial machine. Neo's cold, no-nonsense attitude made him a perfect fit for the new regime. The 91st Recon Corps weren't glory chasers or frontline heroes. They were silent professionals who did their job and vanished. When the galaxy flipped, they didn't hesitate. 104th Battalion. The 104th Battalion, also known as the Wolf Pack, was led by Commander Wolf, CC 3636, and Jedi General Plo Koon. These clones were known for being tactical, loyal, and experienced, with a cool gray color scheme on their armor that matched their calm but deadly vibe. The Wolfpack specialized in rescue missions, starfighter support, and surprise attacks. One of their major appearances was during the Battle of Korm, where they clashed with separatist forces in icy conditions. Plo Koon was respected for treating his clones like individuals, and Wolf was one of the most loyal commanders in the Grand Army of the Republic. Wolf actually lost an eye during a mission, and after that, he wore a cybernetic implant that became part of his signature look. The 104th also worked with Jedi like Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on various campaigns. When Order 66 happened, we don't see Wolf turning on Plo Koon directly in canon, but Plo was shot down by his clones while flying a Jedi starfighter over Cato Neimoidia. It's implied the 104th was involved, but that part is left a little vague. After the war, Wolf eventually removed his inhibitor chip, just like Captain Rex and Gregor, and went into hiding. The three of them even showed up in Star Wars Rebels, living quietly in an old walker on the planet Selos. So, while most of the 104th followed the Empire, Wolf made his way back to the light. The 104th Battalion had a solid bond with their Jedi and were one of the few units with a post-war redemption story, at least for their commander. 212th Attack Battalion. The 212th Attack Battalion was one of the Republic's hardest-hitting clone units, known for its heavy combat style and solid teamwork. It was led by Commander Cody, CT 2224, and General Obi-Wan Kenobi, making it one of the most iconic Jedi clone duos in the Clone Wars. This battalion was always right in the middle of the action. They fought in massive battles like Christophsis, Geonosis, and Utapau. Their armor had that distinct orange color, which made them stand out on the battlefield. These clones specialized in large-scale assaults, often using AT-TE walkers and LAT gunships to bring the heat. The most well-known moment for the 212th was on Utapau, where Obi-Wan faced off against General Grievous. Right after Grievous was defeated, Cody received Order 66 directly from Darth Sidious and didn't hesitate to turn on Obi-Wan. Yeah, he handed Kenobi his lightsaber just seconds before ordering a blast from a cannon to knock him off a cliff. Cold move. Even though Obi-Wan survived, that betrayal hit hard. Cody was loyal to Kenobi for years, but the inhibitor chip overrode all of that. After the Republic fell, it's assumed Cody and parts of the 212th were absorbed into the early Imperial military. The 212th showed the best of the clones during the war and how fast things turned after Order 66. From Geonosis to Utapau, they were always in the thick of it. 9th Assault Corps. The 9th Assault Corps was a powerful clone formation that played a major role in the final stretch of the Clone Wars. It was commanded by Jedi General Adi Gallia and Commander Pond, though Gallia was eventually replaced by Stas Ali after her death. This corps operated under the High Jedi General Mace Windu during the Battle of Coruscant, one of the biggest turning points in the war. The 9th Assault Corps brought raw power, huge numbers, heavy vehicles, and pure frontline aggression. These weren't stealth operators. They were built to storm cities and break through droid lines. They saw action across multiple systems, and when things got hot, the 9th was called in to push forward with overwhelming firepower. Their armor didn't have a widely known custom color scheme like the 501st or 212th, but they were known for coordination and brute force. During Order 66, their Jedi leaders were wiped out like all the rest. Commander Pond, for example, was with Mace Windu on Dantooine in earlier campaigns, but didn't survive to the very end. Stas Ali, Gallia's successor, was gunned down by the 91st Recon Corps during the Purge, so it's likely the 9th Assault Corps had already turned on their Jedi by then or were redeployed. The 9th might not be flashy or famous, but they were one of the Republic's strongest weapons when it came to full-scale warfare. Just like the rest, they were heroes of the war, until the second the Jedi were marked as traitors. 442nd Siege Battalion. The 442nd Siege Battalion was a specialized unit of clone troopers marked by their distinct green-striped armor, trained for, yep, you guessed it, siege warfare. These guys were built for slow, methodical assaults on heavily fortified locations. They brought the heavy gear, the patience, and the pressure. They're briefly seen in Revenge of the Sith on Coruscant, which means they were stationed on the Republic's capital during some of the final days of the Clone Wars. Even though they didn't get a ton of screen time or spotlight in the Clone Wars series, their role was important. If the Republic needed a stronghold broken or a city block taken over street by street, the 442nd was the squad to call. We don't know exactly which Jedi led the 442nd in canon, and that adds to their mystery. But what we do know is that siege battalions like theirs would have been involved in brutal, drawn-out campaigns. Think trench warfare, artillery strikes, and close-quarters urban fighting. When Order 66 came through, the 442nd would have followed it without hesitation, just like the rest of the army. Their job was to break defenses, and tragically, that likely included Jedi strongholds after the Republic became the Empire. Even though they didn't get the fame of the 501st or the 212th, the 442nd Siege Battalion did the dirty work that helped win the war. Their name doesn't show up in every episode, but behind the scenes, they were the hammer in the Republic's arsenal. 187th Legion. The 187th Legion is one of the more mysterious clone units in canon. They're best known from concept art and behind-the-scenes material, but they are canon thanks to a brief appearance in the Clone Wars TV show. What makes them stand out is their purple-marked armor, a rare color scheme among clone legions. This unit was associated with Mace Windu, the Jedi Master known for his combat skills, purple lightsaber, and zero tolerance for nonsense. While we don't see much of the 187th on-screen, their connection to Windu suggests they were elite, disciplined, and focused, just like him. The 187th likely fought in heavy ground battles where Windu was deployed. Given his role in major sieges like the Battle of Dantooine and the defense of Coruscant, it's safe to say these troopers saw some serious action. They probably used aggressive tactics to match Windu's Vapad fighting style, a form that danced on the edge of the dark side. As for Order 66, there's no official scene showing the 187th turning on Windu, but since Windu was killed by Anakin and Palpatine during his attempted arrest of the Chancellor, the 187th didn't get the chance. If they had, it's very likely they would have followed the Order like the rest of the clones. While we don't have tons of detailed stories about them, the 187th Legion's unique look and connection to one of the Jedi Council's strongest warriors makes them fan favorites. They're the silent legends of the clone army. Little screen time, but big presence.